What's going on, guys? My name is Arrow, and in today's video, we are talking about one of the weirder builds that I've put together. Let's get into it. Okay, so this is a Smite Necromancer. 3.21 added Crucible trees to weapons, and on these weapons you can get very interesting modifiers. In this case, we have killing blows from Smite grant 5% of health when they consume a corpse. So basically, anytime you kill something with a hit from Smite, you will consume that corpse and get 5% life, which is a really nice means of recovery while mapping. But corpse consumption does other things in the game. So we went and tested, and it turns out that killing blows from Smite also grant you consumed corpses for Necromancer's Corpse Pact. Now, this ascendancy node is incredibly powerful if you can get lots and lots of corpses consumed, because it gives you up to 200% attack speed. So while we're mapping, we are consuming corpses, getting tons of attack speed, and this feels fantastic to play. There are some problems though. How do you consume corpses on bosses? Well, this build taught me a lot about corpse consumption, a lot of things that I didn't know. I don't play a lot of necromancers. So at the end of the day, would I recommend this build? I don't think I would. It was a decent amount of investment for not the best returns, but it ended up being a really, really fun mapper, and Vol Smite is a blast to use. So maybe in this video, you can learn about some of the interactions that I messed around with on this character and inspire you to do something with corpse consumption and Smite. So let's get into the gear and talk about how everything works. Okay, so let's talk about some of the interesting interactions. I'm not going to go through every gear piece and every gem, but there's some really cool stuff going on here that I want to kind of introduce and talk about. So let's start with corpse generation. So when we are running around in maps, we have Corpse Walker that is constantly creating corpses around us. That gives us some of the benefits of these boots, which is life regen and move speed, but also gives us benefits for things like Plague Bringer. So if you've consumed a corpse recently, which we are always consuming corpses, and then when there are corpses nearby, you get more damage and less damage taken. We use the corpses that we make from Corpse Walker boots for our Arcanist brand setup. So the node on the Crucible passive tree is for killing blows from Smite. When you're doing single target, you're obviously not going to have that. So how do we get corpse consumption to get corpse pack attack speed up when we're fighting one boss? We tested a bunch of different things, and this is probably not the most optimal setup, but I learned a lot about corpse consumption and corpse creation in this process. What we have is an Arcanist brand setup that is a 6-link. It casts Desecrate, which makes a bunch of corpses, and then Cremation, which consumes corpses, Flesh Offering, Bone Offering, and Spirit Offering, all which consume corpses to increase their duration. And that doesn't get us to the cap of Corpse Pack, but it does get us a lot of attack speed. These 3 offerings can be applied to us because we are using Mistress of Sacrifice, which allows our offering skills to affect us at half value. And then the Leash of Oblation Belt, which allows us to have 3 offerings on us at the same time. So while mapping, I'll throw this on like an essence that I fight, and these last for a while. They're not up 100% of the time while mapping. If you want to cast an Arcanist brand, every 10-15 seconds or so, then you'll have full uptime. It just isn't necessary. So we're consuming all those corpses, and that's how we get our single target damage. Something interesting about Smite is it is a strike skill on top of being an AoE skill. So getting 2 additional strikes on our gloves allows us to have 3 hits on each pack and then big AoEs that go off of that. It makes the clear feel much better. The reason that we need to go for additional strikes and not some sort of explosion is because you will scuff your consumption of corpses if you have something other than Smite getting the killing blows. We generate a lot of effect of our auras, which Smite is an aura, from the Eternal Struggle, and on our chest we have a 25% aura effect here. This Eternal Struggle is just phenomenal value for us. I think this thing was 30C, and there's a bunch like this on the market. Gives us a bunch of stats that we need: global defenses, 15% call, and some really valuable implicits. So again, every time I use this amulet, I go on and on about how wonderful it is. So try to find one of these for your build if you don't have an amulet that you need. On the helmet, we have Conductivity and Hex Bloom. I love, love, love this tech. When we hit our focus, which is on our left click, it casts Conductivity on the pack. And then when we kill one of those monsters, it will prolif the curse as far as it can. With enough AoE, you can often prolif off screen. Then we also have a Void Sphere that casts as well. This is super nice. It pulls all the monsters together. And then when you hit with Vol Smite, which is a massive overlapping AoE, you pretty much can one-shot any tanky rare in the game with all those other monsters around it. Clusters are basically just focused around getting area of effect, so this feels nicer to play. You could get more damage here, but I really wanted the smite to be gigantic and help clear screens. Large clusters aren't too exciting, just some double damage there. We also have Overlord on this one, which gives us Fortify, which is why we feel fairly tanky. We get Spell Suppression, grab some Overleech here, that feels really nice. And then here's a really interesting wheel that we're taking. Undertaker allows us to have an additional 2 corpses from Desecrate. It also gives us a bunch of damage, 60% damage across these 3 nodes, and 2% regen. On top of that, we get to take the 20% increased effective offerings mastery, which ends up being a bunch more block, a bunch more defense, and movement speed. This build was super fun to put together. It was a lot of challenges that I had to overcome. Ultimately, I wouldn't recommend playing the build as is. It's fun. It's just a little bit too expensive for the value that you get out of it. It's not a good bosser, but I like to explore new things on this channel. And when we discovered this cool interaction between corpse consumption and the Smite Crucible node, I had to try it. So that's the build. If you have questions, post them down below or come over to my Twitch, twitch.tv/AER0__. We have a lot of fun over there. You should check us out. Give this video a like, a comment, and click that subscribe button if you're enjoying the content. Thank you so much. As always, take care.